Hi, my name is Jose Escobar, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. We're the #1 fastest growing community and tribe of some of the highest level entrepreneurs all around the country and around the world. We're in 36 states across the US, in 11 international countries, and over 240 plus members growing every single day. And I'm honored, excited, and I'm glad to say that I'm proud to be the official sponsor of the Meticulous Moments podcast with Juanita Kapp. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm excited for this journey.
And we are live. How are you, Vedant?
I'm doing well, Juanita. How are you?
I'm doing so well, thank you. It's a wonderful privilege today to have Vedant Noir. I hope I pronounced your surname correctly here.
That's perfect.
Yeah, on the Meticulous Moments podcast, where we facilitate community upliftment through leadership development. And we are going to have a lovely discussion about leadership today and about artificial intelligence. So it's going to be very interesting. Let me read Vedant's biography. Vedant is a student and an entrepreneur based out of Austin, Texas. He's the co-founder of Clips AI. Clips AI helps creators and businesses save time and grow organically by automatically creating social media clips out of long-form content. In his free time, Vedant enjoys playing basketball and reading. And I had the privilege of meeting Vedant late last year, and we had a discussion with his team, and we were going to do the Meticulous Moments interview last year already, but then I traveled to New Jersey in the USA for the Alma Business Bootcamp, and we were unable to do so until now. And I guess and I know that this is the correct time for us to do that. So Vedant, we've spoken again. We've conversed to and fro, and I believe that you've added 400 people to your beta waitlist. You have 40 daily active users now. You have your first paying customer, and you've been accepted into 2 venture capital cohorts. Tell us more about yourself and what you do.
Yeah. So thanks so much, Juanita, for that introduction and that quick spiel about Clips AI. Really appreciate it. So like Juanita mentioned, at Clips AI, we automatically create social media clips from long form content, like podcasts like this one, webinars, speeches, you name it. And this really helps creators and businesses save a lot of time because clipping and making those clips is really, really difficult with the software and just the amount of time it takes. No one really wants to do it. And also helps you grow easier on social media. And that's just because, when you post consistently, when you have clips of your podcast, that's how you get new listeners. That's how you get traction on social media. And we're just trying to make a best of both worlds scenario for all the people involved.
I love that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Now, I also wanted to ask you, tell us more about your team and, where you started and why you started.
Yeah, I think the story for why we started is just as cool as the product itself. So I have 2 other co-founders, Armel and Ben. And Armel and Ben actually had their own podcast, and they kind of faced this problem themselves. They were students and podcasters, so they didn't have as much time as, maybe someone else did. And because of that, they found that making those clips was really, really difficult because it just took a lot of time. But when they did make the clips, they grew really well on social media. Armel actually got 30,000 followers on TikTok. But they knew there was an easier way, brought me along board and like, okay, let's decide to build something and actually help other people out and do it at scale. And we were able to do that with technology, software, and now using the power of AI, which is really, really cool. We've got to talk to a lot of different people, including you, creators, businesses from all walks of life. And I think the answer has always been the same, that there's a need for something like this to help people. And now it's just up to us to deliver it. And so, like you mentioned, have about 400, actually now 500 in between the time I've sent you that information, people
Wow.
on the wait list. Yeah, pretty cool. A lot of daily active users and got our first paying customer. And for us, we hope it's only just the beginning. There's a lot more people that we want to impact, reach, and help out. So really excited for the journey that we're on.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And when I had that meeting with you, we had a virtual coffee with you and your team. I realized that you are three exceptionally smart young individuals. And I thought that you all studied the same field, in the same field. Would you like to list for us in which fields you are studying, the three of you?
Yeah. First, want to say that's high praise from you. So really thank you for that. But yeah, we all study different things, and I think that's what makes us so good as a team. We're
Yeah.
all technical, but in different areas. So I study management information systems and CS, which is really the business side of technology and understanding how do you implement that in a real product. Whereas Armel is focused on computer science and math. So really figuring out how can we build this product, the front end design, all that stuff. And then Ben, while he does study um, electrical computer engineering, he's actually doing most of the machine learning, artificial intelligence stuff. So I guess you can see how like collectively we all have our different strengths, and we kind of use that to come together and build something greater than the sum of its parts. So I really like that about our team because we all have things that we can help each other with, and all have deficiencies that the other person can cover up for.
I love that. I love that. And, that struck a chord with me because I've always been speaking about leadership diversity in the organization. I'm actually going to fly to St. Louis for a BLN event where I'm going to be speaking about leadership diversity in an organization. And when I was thinking of the topic of what I want to speak on, I thought of your team because it's very interesting how you do different things and yet you can amalgamate all that knowledge and you can bring something to life such as Clips AI. I mean, artificial intelligence is huge right now and it will continue to be. So I wanted to ask you all three of you have different leadership areas and different leadership styles. What in your opinion are the good or the best leadership qualities that someone can have when being a part of a team in an organization or a business such as yours?
Yeah, I think I can give the perspective on someone who's an entrepreneur at a very early stage because that's where we're at right now. I think your skills or toolbox kind of change, right, as you go up to different types of organizations, businesses that are maybe bigger, more mature. Um, but I think as a leader in at an early stage, it's really two things. It's one, how much are you willing to learn, and how much are you willing to be humble? So, for us as leaders, we are, young adults, don't have too much industry experience. We have to be really focused on understanding what are our deficiencies and how can we learn and ramp up very quickly. And we have to be the people who are always planning a step ahead or two to understand that and then to relay that message to the rest of our team. We also have to be very, very gritty and very, very hardworking. At an early stage, there's no one else to rely on but yourself.
Yes.
If you decide that day not to show up to work or decide not to do anything, nothing gets done, right? So
Yeah.
having the accountability and the determination to go to work every day consistently, I think is also just as valuable. I think the moral of the story is that leaders at an early stage lead by example. There's
Yeah.
no such thing as delegating or sitting in an ivory tower. You're doing everything yourself, and you have to be effective at everything yourself. And that kind of leadership diffuses down throughout the organization and inspires others because um, to be a startup, everyone has to be entrepreneurial and everyone has to be a go-getter. And if your leader's not that, then I think that there is larger problems that need to be addressed.
I agree with you completely. All three of you are entrepreneurs, and what makes your team unique is exactly the fact that you are young into the business, which means that you have fresh ideas, you have that vigor, you have that passion, that drive, and that's really a good example to the rest of the entrepreneurs out there. And that the way that you work together, I've seen how you work, I've seen the things that you've brought to the table, and that's just phenomenal to see that even at the young age, the young adult stage that you are, you have that wisdom, that emotional intelligence to say, well, I have to make sure I pitch up. I have to make sure I show up, I'm there, and I do my part. And together, you all create this successful movement, this successful business. So I see great things coming for Clips AI. And I'm sure since you've started out, and that is nothing unnatural, but since you started out, there must have been adversities or speed bumps along the road, or hiccups. How did you deal with those obstacles that entrepreneurs normally face when they start something new?
Yeah. Funnily enough, I think something that I didn't realize whenever starting something like this is that, you're expected to fail, right? Most entrepreneurs end up not being successful. Most startups end up not being successful.
Yeah.
So looking at it from a logical point of view, if I'm someone who, is going to do a task or try to start this journey where I'm expected to lose, I'm also expecting that there's gonna be a lot of speed bumps across the way. And I also have to steel myself and be ready to have a positive reframing of all these bad outcomes and all
Yeah.
these things and setbacks that will happen. Right? There were countless delays in our journey, in the terms of, the number of people that we got to be interested, the amount of no's that we heard when asking people to talk to us or try out our product, how long it took to even build something. The time frame that we thought was way shorter than what actually happened.
Yeah.
All these different things, these little no's everywhere, these delays, like it can add up. But something that we focused on, me personally, I focused on was reframing everything positively, trying to look on the bright side. Because if you don't, if you're going to be negative as an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
I think it really eats into you. So to answer your question shortly, like I don't think there's a single setback or something that I remember. Really, just like a bunch of them kind of adding up. But something that I took away was like, how can I be really resilient in this process? And
Yeah.
I think that if you ask every entrepreneur who's been successful, that's probably something that they all have in common, is that resiliency.
That's what makes a winner. That's what makes the winner circle. And I believe that you guys have that winner circle. And there's different leadership styles, and your team is very unique. I noticed as well, because I've been working at that for a very long time, that you all have different personalities. What is the leadership style? Who kind of takes the lead for your team, and what type of leadership style do you employ? How do you work with the guys?
Yeah. So I think there's two answers. The first one is that, Armel is our CEO, right? So at the end of the day, he is the person who has the vision for our company.
Yeah.
He thinks about managing the rest of the team. And he likes to say this a lot, and I think this is a sign of a really good leader, is that,
Yes.
if we succeed, it's because of Ben and I. It's because of the people that
Beautiful.
works on this team. But if we fail, it's because of Armel, right? Like that's the sign of someone who's willing to take on, a larger burden, and that's why he's our CEO. But
Beautiful.
in all our areas of expertise, right, we're all our own leaders. I handle
Yes.
sales and marketing. They trust me to deliver on sales and marketing. Whereas with Ben and the machine learning, I trust him. I trust Armel on the coding and fundraising. Like we've all
Yeah.
delegated effectively, but whenever there's a time of crisis or you're looking to the vision, where do we go next? You look towards your CEO. So we're all leaders in our
Beautiful.
own right, but for Ben and I, knowing how to play our role as well is really important.
Absolutely, that hierarchy is very important, and yet you are all leaders in your own right. So that is very commendable. I was thinking about, the obstacles that we talked about, things that come at us when we start, people that don't always want us to succeed, that you've mentioned. And I'm thinking of martial arts, because I'm in the martial arts space and I love jiu-jitsu. And what I do is I take the principles that we use in jiu-jitsu and I apply them in my businesses. So in jiu-jitsu, for instance, as an example, I would anticipate my opponent's move. I would anticipate what he could try to get me, like in an arm lock or in a leg lock. And I believe that artificial intelligence has a lot to do also with anticipating what's next, or what the result will be, or what the outcome will be. So tell us a little bit more about artificial intelligence. Give us a general view, because not many people are very versed about what artificial intelligence is.
Yeah. So that's a good question, and I think I like that analogy a lot. I'll preface this by saying I'm not an expert by any means. I do business stuff in artificial intelligence, but I
Yeah.
don't build it myself, and I wouldn't call myself an expert. But I think I do have a good grasp, so I'll give you
Yes.
my best shot. Kind of what I think about artificial intelligence is literally what it sounds like: making intelligence, which is like how does a brain think or learn,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
making it artificial or creating it artificially. And by creating it artificially, you can make a brain that is much, much more powerful and much, much more faster because it
Yeah.
can rely on technology that we built to compute at a quicker pace and
Yeah.
store more memory. So
Yeah.
we think about stuff that's been coming out like ChatGPT, for example, or
Yeah.
GPT-3 from OpenAI. Um, when you interface with it, it really feels like a human is talking to you, but it's a
Yeah.
much smarter human. It's a much more powerful human because of the artificial intelligence aspect. And
Yes.
I guess I can tell you more about how we relate to in our company's role in this kind of AI journey. So, um, in artificial intelligence, there's something called supervised learning, which is
Mm-hmm.
where you teach a computer program something, and over
Yeah.
time, as you teach it more and more, it learns more and more and kind of perfects its craft, right? So,
Beautiful.
for example, like you can think about martial arts, right?
Yeah.
And you could imagine programming something that has the ability to kick, punch, and defend itself. In the
Wow.
beginning, it doesn't know how to do any of that, right? But then you show it a bunch of different times. What does a kick look like? What does a
Yeah.
punch look like? And you don't just show it 5 or 10 times, you show it thousands, even millions of times what that looks like. Imagine
Beautiful.
showing an AI all the different um, martial arts masters and their techniques,
Oh.
every single video that's ever been created. At
Yeah.
the end of it, that AI will be able to learn much more powerfully than a human could, and then will become an expert, probably the most prominent expert in the entire world at martial arts. So
That's
it's the same
amazing.
thing. Yeah. So the same thing you can think about with us and podcast clipping, right? If we show an AI enough times, okay, this is what a video looks like, and this is what a clip selected from that video looks like.
Yeah.
And not just this is the clip that was selected. What is the best clip? What are the clips on social media that perform the best? Suddenly, this AI can go, okay, I know what a video looks like. I know what a clip looks like. Here's your best clip. This clip will perform the best on social media. And it can
Yeah.
do it thousands of times more powerfully than a human and thousands of times faster. I think that's what's so cool about AI is its ability to
It's
learn
amazing.
coupled
Yeah.
with its ability to be powerful with technology. And that's why I think it's a world changing technology. It's probably
Yeah.
the most powerful technology in the world, in my opinion.
Yeah.
We're in a small part of that in the creator economy, but
Yeah.
you'll see in the next few years how fast
Yeah.
AI will change the world, and I'm really excited to watch it.
I love that. I love that. It's very intricate to understand artificial intelligence, and the way that you explained it makes it easy for the rest of us to understand how it works and how it thinks and how it evolves. Now, I've
Hmm.
read some articles, especially on LinkedIn and on other articles, on other platforms, where they have actually now brought in artificial intelligence and created robots that do the stunts instead of the actors or the
Hmm.
the stunt masters doing these stunts. They actually have robots that are trained or are edified through video clips on what they should do, and they're actually doing the stunts so as to cause less injury. So it's really an ever developing field, and we should keep our eye on that and make sure that we develop with it accordingly, because if we stay behind, of course we're going to fall behind on all the new information that's being presented. So thank you for that. I appreciate you giving us that answer. Now, you know, I wanted to ask you, in your opinion, because there's different opinions about this, and it doesn't mean that some are correct and some are wrong. It just means that it's our opinions. Leadership is very important, especially when you're an entrepreneur. And I want to ask you, in your opinion, are leaders born or are they formed? Are they born with those qualities, or do they kind of step up to the plate when adversity hits or when an opportunity presents itself? What is your opinion on that?
Hmm. Yeah, I think for most things, people are formed. I think everyone has a ceiling or a limitation for their final capabilities. I think
Yeah,
that when Albert Einstein was born and when I was born, both of us had very, very different ceilings in terms of our intelligence. But
yeah,
I think that up until that ceiling, everyone is the master of their own destiny, and I think their experiences largely shape them. I also think that even outside of experiences, someone can decide to become a leader and decide to step up to the plate. I think
yeah,
it's really just a conscious choice.
yes,
Um, what I've seen, right, is that I've seen really, really well spoken people, really empathetic leaders who have had no experience, who are young adults, especially me being surrounded by students, not really being in leadership positions, being able to
Yeah.
take that just because they're so thoughtful. And so I don't think there's a perfect formula for a leader. I think
Mm.
it's about someone. I think leaders are just people who are good people who can understand their constituents, the people who work under them, and kind of understand where their organization plays a part in the larger scheme and can position themselves accordingly. Other than that, I don't think there's no magic recipe. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, because leaders are so diverse. They just look so different no matter where you go. And oftentimes businesses, especially what I've seen, bring in leaders from completely different verticals and to lead their teams, and they do super well. And to me that means that it's not the experiences that matter. It's just the person themselves and how
Yeah.
they form themselves. So that's my answer. But I'm sure there's one day there'll be some more in-depth research on that. But for now, I don't think there's a magic formula.
Yeah, no, I agree on that. And there's a million answers to that question as well. So it was just very interesting to hear your opinion on that. And talking about your business strategy, I want to learn more about how you strategized when you decided that you wanted to do this. What was did you do a business map? Did you do a mind map? Did you get your vision and mission together? Did you build the parachute after you jumped out of the plane or beforehand? Because sometimes people do it vice versa. What was your business strategy like? Because there's a lot of people out there that are thinking and contemplating of starting businesses, but some of them want to wait until the right time. And then, maybe that right time doesn't present itself. What's your advice there?
Yeah. I love that metaphor, the parachute and the plane. I think for us, we definitely jumped out of the plane first, and then tried to build the parachute in the air. Looks like you did the same. And I think most entrepreneurs, most startups, I think they do that too.
Yeah.
And the reason is just like you said, right? If you try to wait for the exact right time, it never comes. That's why people
Yeah.
always say the best time to start anything is now, because
Yeah.
there's never a better moment than now, and tomorrow never comes, right? So
Mm.
that's the kind of thing that we took. And I'm a big proponent for young people to become entrepreneurs and build their own
Yes.
successes. I think everyone should be their own boss. And to them,
Yes.
to those people, I tell them, if you have an idea, start it now. But what you should do is first validate that idea. And that's what
Yeah.
we did. So we, instead of building something from day zero, we decided to just talk to a bunch of different people about this idea. We want to make sure that the idea itself was refined and good before we started building. And that's
Yeah.
not waiting to start a business. We were strategizing, planning, doing all that stuff while ideating and validating. But
Yeah.
we wanted to make sure that what we were building was actually going to serve a need for people. I think that's what entrepreneurs, a lot of them, kind of miss, right?
Yeah.
Everyone wants to build a great idea. Everyone has this eureka moment. But if you build it in a vacuum, you don't actually know if it can help real people. So
True.
we took a lot of time to do that before we started, and that's what I would recommend to people. And yeah, I mean, we did validate, but there's still a lot of stuff of that parachute that we had to build after we jumped out, and we managed to do it, right? And I think that most people, I'm sure you managed to do it as well. Um,
Yes.
most people, it works out, funnily enough. So I think for them, I would tell everybody the best time to start is now. And if you have an idea, go out into the real world and talk to a bunch of people and see if it's worth building.
Yeah, I love that. And I agree. I agree that you should do your research. You should identify that gap in the market, see if there's really a need for that. If you're going to be bringing upliftment and change and reformatting of certain preconceptions that people have. Because what I find very interestingly that most of the entrepreneurs that are stepping up to the plate are really challenging our preconceptions, our pre thoughts, the way we view the world. And that's a good thing, especially when we get to a place where we have to stretch our minds, stretch our beliefs to be able to be receptive to things like artificial intelligence, because that's not something that we necessarily, for the older generations grew up with. So to contemplate, to digest what it means and the positive effects that it can have, weighing up that with the negative effects, there's a lot going out there. So as an entrepreneur, you're a risk taker. The word entrepreneur means the art of taking risks. You are a risk taker. And if you have that idea and you have identified that gap in society and in the world, feel free then to put everything together and believe in yourself, because something that I also found, and I'm sure Vedant, there are not people that's always, not everyone's going to cheer you on, not everyone's going to be for you, not everyone's going to support your idea, not everyone will see your vision.
Yeah. You might be frozen on my screen, Juanita.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. Next for Clips AI.
Sorry, Juanita, you froze on my screen for a little
Oh,
bit.
okay. I wanted to ask you, what is next for Clips AI?
Yeah. Sure. Also, one point I wanted to say about what you were saying about taking risks and being on the edge of innovation is that two books that really inspired me when I was growing up were Zero to One by Peter Thiel and the Steve Jobs autobiography, or the Steve Jobs biography. And Peter Thiel's whole book Zero to One is talking about, when you're building a world changing idea, you really radicalize the idea and you build something that doesn't really exist or hasn't really been conceived, and you make it one. You don't build on top of something that already exists. And when you do that, you'll hear a lot of no's and you'll get a lot of people who don't understand the vision.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to see the bigger picture and be able to work past that. And that kind of goes to what Steve Jobs said, that um, the world was built by people no smarter than yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, if you have the idea, the vision, the clarity, yeah, you have to find the right people to bring it to, but it's always possible. And you'll hear a lot of no's. I think that's a consistent thing in everyone's journey, is that you hear a lot of no's to get even one yes. So you'll have to resolve yourself for that. But yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you. What's next for Eclipse AI? Well, what's next is hopefully growth and building a really, really great product.
Yeah.
There's a few things that we want to do to make it really easy to make social media clips. So, for example, right, we're right now recording in landscape, but TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts are all vertical.
Yeah.
How can we help you automatically create TikTok clips, Instagram clips, and resize them for you?
Yeah.
How can we also automatically make captions for you? And then how can we export them all to social media without you doing any work? Making this process truly automatic. That's our
Yeah.
goal. We want to make sure that everyone, regardless of how much time or technical expertise they have, can push a clip out to social media and do it really, really easily.
Yeah.
So that's what we're working on. And then, on my job, sales and marketing, really just getting this to in front of as many people as possible, doing a lot of experimentation and building out our marketing strategy. I think 2023 will be a really, really defining year in Eclipse AI's
Yes.
history. I think we've already made a lot of progress in this year, but I'm looking forward to seeing what all we can accomplish in the rest of it.
Love it, love it. I've seen, since I met you guys last year and we had our meeting and we started talking, I've seen how you've built the foundation and I see how you're gaining traction. So I know you're going to be amazingly, blessed in your journey from here on. We are going to connect with you, network with you, cheer you on. And you're now part of the Meticulous Moments podcast family. So we are going to promote you as such as well. And I want to ask you, do you have any last words of wisdom for the audience? I know you're a young adult, but you have that wisdom in you, and we can always learn from each other, right?
Yeah. I want to say thank you for having me on. Really, really appreciate your time and being on Meticulous Moments. It's been a blast. Um, I guess a few things to impart before I leave. Like I said, right, I believe that everyone should be an entrepreneur, especially young people. I think a lot of times in school we're trained to be good employees, and good good people who work for other people. But I think that we're all talented enough, all brave enough to do that for ourselves. And I think that journey is much more rewarding than anything else that I've experienced in my life. And to those people who may be afraid to take the next step, um, you're only bounded by your aspirations. You're only bounded by your dreams. That's the only thing that can stop you. And if you don't dream big enough, um, you won't be able to work on anything even a little bit smaller than that. Right?
Mm.
So to those people, be brave, take the next step, take the risk. Um, you know, our past experiences, our difficulties, our troubles, what we've accomplished so far means nothing. in our new journey.
Mm.
What means everything is how hard we're willing to work and how much we're willing to learn. So you could start tomorrow, to anybody who's listening, and become an entrepreneur. Who's telling you to stop? You could be anything you want to be, as long as you work for it. And I'm just a random kid, right, from Texas, who has no prior things on their resume that says that I should be an entrepreneur, other than the fact that my team and I, we just want it so bad. So you're not limited by anything other than yourself, is what I would say. And for those who want to support our journey, make sure to check out clipsai.com. We're going to build a lot of great things, try to help a lot of people. And if you're a podcaster, creator, or business, I think we can help you too. And yeah, thanks again, Juanita. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. True words of wisdom spoken by a young up-and-coming entrepreneur with his teams from Clips AI, and we look forward to seeing you scale and be successful. So thank you that you made us part of your journey, and I'm going to invite you back onto Meticulous Moments in a few months, and we are going to just talk more artificial intelligence and celebrate all the wins that you have. And thank you so much to the audience for joining us. You know what to do. Connect, network, and cheer Vedant and his team on. And I'll see you in the next session. Goodbye.